We're going to do our FOIL problems, so we should have our writing pens out and we're grading these, right? Everybody's got the information that they need. We're good to go. All right, so I'm going to give you the letter answer and the actual answer, and then we'll go back through these as we need to and answer any questions we need to. All right, question number 1 should be D, -6 minus 5 radical 2. All right, number 2 is B, 7 plus 3 radical 3. Number 3 is K, 9a squared plus 12ab plus 4b squared. 4 is H, which is 2. Okay, so you might have some questions on that one. 5 is E, 2, and 3 only. 6 is K, the square root of x squared minus y squared. I'm going to bet that there's some of you that got F for that, and we'll talk about that. Okay. Number 7 is C, 4n squared plus 6n minus 4. 8 is E, 97. 1, I know it goes, through 8 and then it jumps to 1. 1 is E, 15x squared plus 7x minus 2. 10 is K, 2x squared plus 13xy plus 15y squared. All right, factoring. Number 1 should be A, negative x over x plus 6. Number 2 is 3x plus 2. Number 3 is B, x equals 0 or x equals 7/3. Number 4 is a repeat. So if you got it right the first time, you should get it right the second time. It's H2. Number 5 is D, 4x minus 3. 6 is G, 3y minus 3x. 7 is D, 4x squared minus 3x. Number 8 is D, all real numbers except negative 3 and 2. Okay. D. 9 is F. 7 times A plus B. Okay, and our back page. 10 is J, 3. 11 is C, A minus 2. And 12 is F, negative 2C plus 8C. Okay, well, let's go back up through here. And let's handle it kind of page by page, question by question. See which ones we got wrong and which ones we need to work on. Foiling problems 1 through 4. Any of those on that very first page? Or do I need to go back and repeat any? You need the answer or you need to work. Okay, for number 4. Okay. All right, if 6x squared minus x minus a equals ax plus 1 times 3x minus 2, what is the value of a? Keep in mind, all we want is just the value of a. We don't need the value of x, okay? So the first thing that I would do is go ahead and FOIL, because it's a foiling question, right? Now, granted, on the actual ACT, they're not going to tell you, hey, this is a foiling question. The first thing we want to do is, what is ax times 3x squared? Let's do it as 3ax squared. Okay, now keep in mind that this says that it's equal, right? So technically speaking, that first term, that first multiplication is the only thing that's going to give me an x squared in the foiling, correct? So we could simply say 6x squared equals 3ax squared, correct? We could stop there because I don't really need the rest of it, right? We just want the value of a. So in doing this, right, I could divide by 3x squared, correct? My x squareds are going to cancel. What is 6 divided by 3? 2. So 2 equals a equals 2. And you could try this after we've plugged 2 in, right? So I would go in and I would test it if I had the time, okay? And let's do that. We'll do it with the red. Let's say 2x plus 1 times 3x minus 2. That's going to give me 6x squared. Let's see, minus 4x plus 3x minus 2. Okay, notice that I have that a there also. So if I go ahead and I simplify this, 6x squared, I'm getting what? Negative x minus 2. Do you see how that the a still equals 2? Okay, so I could do it either way. I think that this way, and then going back and substituting and see that a equals 2 on both ends, okay, is going to give me certainty that a does equal 2. Okay? All right, anything else on that page? Nobody on 1 through 4? Okay, we've got 4. Well, let's go to the next page. 5 through 8 and 1. Go ahead. 5. Okay. If A equals 3 plus radical 2 and B equals 3 minus radical 2, which of the following numbers must be irrational? All right, so we have the option to really kind of do all of these, 1, 2, and 3. So 3 would be 3 plus radical 2 over 3 minus radical 2. Remember, we want these to be rational. Okay, that's different than real. Okay, so in order to solve 3 plus radical 2 over 3 minus radical 2, I'd have to multiply by the conjugate, which is something we've done. So that'd be 3 plus radical 2 over 3 plus radical 2. Okay, and we'd go ahead and solve. On the bottom, I'm going to get 9 minus 2, right? Okay, we understand that. 9 minus 2, I'm going to get 7 on the bottom. On the top, I'm going to get 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going to get 3, plus 3 radical 2, plus 3 radical 2, and plus 2. Right, so I'm going to end up with 11 plus 6 radical 2 over 7. But that radical 2 right there puts a real kink in the works, okay, because radical 2 is irrational. So as long as I've got an irrational in there, it's going to be irrational, okay? So I know that it cannot be 1 only, it cannot be 1 and 2 only, because I can't include 1. 1 is irrational, okay? So let's erase this, and let's see what we get for some of these others. Okay, let's try 3 plus radical 2 times 3 minus radical 2. Well, that's the same thing. We've already done this work, actually, because we did that in the denominator of the previous question, right, by multiplying by the conjugate, and we got the number 7, correct? So we do know that this, okay, is rational. Okay, so we could go with 2, but we know that 2 works, so it can't be C, right? So my options are either B or E. We need to do 3 plus radical 2 plus 3 minus radical 2. Well, what's going to, hold on a sec. What's going to happen with those radicals? Cancel, and I wind up with 3 plus 3 is 6. So that is rational. So it can't be 2 only. It's got to be E. Okay, it's got to be 2 and 3. Does that help? Okay. All right. Any others on this page? Yeah, Zamira? 6? Okay. So my guess is that, let's see, did you get F for this? So I can probably assume that when you FOILed in here, you got x squared, and because it's a sum difference, you wound up with minus y squared. Is that right? Because of that negative right there, I can't take it any further. Do you understand? Because, yeah, if it was just a square root of x squared, I'd wind up with x, right? But that negative means that I've got an I, right? Because I'm getting the square root of a negative. So the only thing I can do is I can leave it just like that. I don't have, because there isn't an I option, okay, then I can't do anything else. That's as far as I can take it. Does that help? Okay. All right. 7, 8, or 1 on that page. 7 was C, 4n squared plus 6n minus 4. Do you need to see it? No? Good. Okay. 8 or 1? Okay. 8. Okay. Let's see. If m minus n squared equals 25 and m times n equals 36, then what is m squared plus n squared? Let's see. So, all right, let's do this. M minus n squared equals 25. I really don't want to square on this side. What can I do to both sides? Let's square root it. Okay, so what is m minus n? 5. Okay, so I have m minus n equals 5, but m times n equals 36. Okay, so I'm looking for things that subtract to equal 5, but add up to 36. All right, so we could start off with like 6 minus 1 equals 5, right? But 6 times 1 equals 6, right? So you guys, I mean, at this point, it's there might be a formulaic way of doing this, but at this point, I'm common sensing it out. Okay. 9 times 4 is 36. All right, and 9 minus 4 is 5. Okay. So at that point, what we're saying is that m is 9, and n is 4. Right. Okay. So I got 81 plus 16. 81 and 16 is 97. Okay? Does that help you out? That first thing we needed to do, though, is that we needed to simplify that m minus n squared. Okay? Okay, 1. Nobody on 1. Okay, what about 10? Yeah. Okay, so this is, because it's basically what's the area, that we would need to find the length and the width. Okay, so L plus L, let me do this, is 2L, right? And R plus R plus R is 3R. So essentially my length is 2L plus 3R, right? And my width is L plus 5R. So if I want to find the area, I'm going to multiply those two things. So 2L plus 3R times L plus 5R and FOIL, right? So 2L times L, 2L squared. Okay, 2L times 5R is 10LR plus 3LR plus 15R squared. Simplify that to 2L squared plus 13LR plus 15R squared. Let's see, that's where we see K, right? Now, they're substituting, right? So they're substituting X for, or L for X, and they're substituting Y for R, so I just need to go back in and show the substitution. Okay? All right. Hopefully that helps out a little bit. All right, let's come down to factoring. Let's see, factoring 1 through 4. 1, okay? For all x being greater than 3, Okay, we want 3x squared minus x squared. The first thing I would do with my top portion up here is rearrange that. I would rearrange it so that it was negative x squared plus 3x. And then I got my x squared plus 3x minus 18. Okay? All right. So let's look at the top. What can I factor out of the top? I would factor out a negative x. Okay? So let's take a negative x out of that, and that's going to leave me with x minus 3, right? Okay. And on the bottom, okay, we've got x and x. And what is that? Plus 6 minus 3. All right. What's going to happen with my x minus 3's? They're going to cancel out. And so I'm left with negative x over x plus 6. Yep, you need to factor out a negative x. Okay. Always take out a negative if you can. Okay. If you have a negative coefficient in front of that squared variable, take out the negative. Okay. Yeah, we want as much positivity as we can. 2, 3, or 4. 2, 3, or 4? Nobody? Okay, 4 we've already seen. 2 or 3? Once, twice? No? Okay. All right, 5 through 9. 5? Which of the following is a polynomial factor of 4x squared plus 13x minus 12? Okay, these are typically a little harder just because it's not just x squared, right? Okay, so, but notice that it's, well, and even the positive negative becomes a little bit more iffy. So this is really kind of a guess and check, but notice that they do give you 5 options, right? So if it was 2x minus 3, all right, we could kind of go down through there, like, well, then this would have to be 2x, correct? Okay, well, what times negative 3 is going to be negative 12? Right, because I'm kind of locked in at that point. It'd be a positive 4. So I'd have to see if that works anywhere else. Now it says which of the following is a polynomial. One of the clues that this probably doesn't work is that I'd have 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 4. Which one of those could possibly, I mean, I can't pick them both, right? And let's see if it works the rest of the way around. That would be positive 8x minus 6x. Okay, was that going to give me 13x? No. So neither one of those can work. Because if it was 2x plus 4, it would have to be 2x minus 3, right? So that doesn't work. So I can get rid of both this and this. Okay? Let's say it was 2x plus 3, right? Then it would have to be, what, 2x minus 4? All right, well, let's see if that works. That's going to give me the 4x squared, but it's going to give me positive 6x and negative 8x. Right, is that going to add up to 13? No, so that's not going to work either. Okay, do you see how we can rifle through these pretty quickly? Okay, let's try 4x minus 3. Okay, rather than just trying to figure it out, I'm going to use those test-taking skills where I'm actually, let's plug something in. Well, if it's 4x, then this has to be just what? X. That's negative, so this has to be positive, right? Okay. So what times negative 3 is going to be? Negative 12. Positive 4. All right, let's see how the rest of this works. What's 4 times 4? What's 16 minus 3? Positive 13, right? And everything else works. So 4x minus 3 is a factor. Okay? So it's less guessing. I don't have to sit there and really ponder about what I'm going to guess and check. They give me 5 options to check. Start with that. Okay? All right. Let's see. 6, 7, 8, or 9. Nothing on that page? Kind of surprised me. You guys all did pretty good on 8 then. Okay. All right. What are the real numbers x such that these things equal each other. Okay, let's see. So I would probably do this as a test. Okay. All right. Notice that they're equal to each other. So there's a couple possibilities. Notice that because it's two fractions equal to each other, we could probably do proportions. Okay, and go at it from there. But I'm trying to get something where I'm getting x plus 2 over x plus 3. So notice that they say on A, 3 only. Okay, well, the first thing I want to see is, does 3 work? Okay, so let's try that. What is 3 squared? What's 9 minus 4? 5. Okay, so that would have to be equal to, well, 3 plus 2 is 5, right? So it works over here on both sides. So we know that 3 squared is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. What's 12 minus 6? Okay, so that'd be 5/6, and x, or 3 plus 3 is 6. So we know that 3 works, right? Okay. But notice on B, C, D, and E, they say all real numbers. Okay, so we know that 3 works. We really need to see if, and really we probably could have skipped 3, because if the others are all real numbers, then we know that probably 3 does work. Now, the others say except 4. Okay, so we could try these other numbers. Okay, negative 3 squared is still going to be 9. Okay, 9 minus 4 is still 5. Okay, negative 3 plus 2, though, negative 1. Okay, that doesn't mean that this is wrong yet, but let's look. We've got negative 3 squared, which is 9, but now it's 9 minus 3 minus 6. Well, that's 0, right? Okay, but before you get in too much of an uproar, what is negative 3 plus 3? 0. So both of those come out to be, irrational, right? Okay, let's try, now granted, it can't be at this point, it can't be that. Okay, because we know negative 3, okay? We know that negative 3 doesn't work because it's unreal. Okay? All right. So we need to try 2. And we know that it's not all real numbers because we know negative 3 doesn't work. So let's try 2. All right, 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay, 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. 2 plus 3 is 5. That doesn't equal either. So my answer is, what are the real numbers x such that? The reason that this didn't work is because it said real numbers. Okay, and dividing by 0 gives me unreal values. Okay, so all real numbers except negative 3 and 2. Negative 3 doesn't work because it gives me unreal numbers. 2 doesn't work because 0 over 0 does not equal 4/5. Okay? All right. 9. Okay. Think this is our last page. Okay. 10, 11, or 12. Okay. 12. Okay, if y squared minus 16c squared equals 6cy, what are the two solutions for y in terms of c? Okay. All right. I repositioned these so that I had, I'm going to move everything kind of over. Well, let's see, let's just move this guy over here. So I've got negative 16c squared. Okay, minus 6cy, okay, plus y squared. Okay, from here we want to factor this down. Now, I can't factor anything out of that as is unless I wanted to factor out a -1, so I was dealing with a positive 16c squared. So I will do that. Let's factor out a -1. Okay, that's going to give me 16c squared, let's see, plus 6cy minus y squared. Okay. Let's see, and for sake of time, I know that this part would be a guess and check because it's, 16cy, I've got multiple things I could do there. I could do 1 and 16, I could do 2 and 8, I can do 4 and 4, okay? But what I should get is, because it's plus and, well, we're going to get 8c and 2c, and we're going to get -y and positive y. This part right here does simplify some of it because the only way to get y squared is to have a positive and a -y. Okay, so the only part that I really have to guess and check on is that part right there. Okay, and flipping those things back and forth. So at this point, all I need to do is, because it wants solutions for y in terms of c, is solve these. So 8c minus y equals 0. Okay, in terms of c, so we're going to divide by 8. We're going to subtract 8c to the other side. So -y equals -8c, or 8c equals y. Okay. And then on our other one, we've got 2c plus y equals 0. Subtract 2c, so y equals -2c. So solutions for y, we're solving for y in terms of c. So 8c and -2c. Okay, they're really, they're essentially the same. Sorry, here it is, right there. I thought I was looking at k in that. Okay, so there's my 8c and my -2c. That's somewhat confusing, but hopefully we get it. All right, so we understand most of this a little bit better now. All right, so that's all done.